How's it going, everybody? C-Rad TV back here in another video. So, of course, it's time for another Detroit Lions NFL draft preview. So, in the last draft preview, we took a look at the top day 2 linebacker prospects in the 2022 NFL draft. And in this part, we're going to wrap up the round 2 portion of the draft previews by taking a look at the top day 2 defensive back and safety prospects in the 2022 NFL draft and see which defensive backs and safeties we should be looking at in rounds 2 and 3 of the draft. So yeah, anyway, there's going to be a lot of names to go over here since this class is pretty deep in the second round and third rounds. But yeah, anyway, let's go ahead and let's get started. Let's go. So, starting off with defensive backs, the first one we're going to go over here, hailing out of Cincinnati, standing 6'1", weighing 198 pounds, we got Kobe Bryant. No, not the basketball player, the football player. So in terms of Kobe's strengths, he has a prototypical frame for the modern-day corner, has above-average height, broad shoulders, long arms, well-built musculature. He's a coordinated athlete, can change directions, accelerate fluently in man coverage. He has a knack for arriving just as the ball does, shows impressive instincts and body control to disrupt the catch point without drawing flags. He isn't relying on intercepting passes to create turnovers, but he shows good physicality, timing, and placement of his hat and shoulder and hands to poke the ball free as well. In his career in college, he's had 4 career forced fumbles. In terms of his weaknesses, though, he's a better football player than athlete. So we had the prospect is a better football player than athlete cliche. And he may not test as well as other top corners in this draft class. Smooth accelerator that lacks true explosiveness does allow slivers of open field for quarterbacks to operate. He lacks straight line speed to handle man duties against NFL's speediest of receivers. He's a physical tackler that lowers shoulders in the ball carries, but occasionally he will fail to wrap up securely. In terms of his NFL comparison, he's been compared to Carlton Davis of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, so has a lot of upside for sure. Very physical player. Definitely someone to keep an eye on for sure. So the next player we're going to go over here, hailing out of Georgia, standing 6 feet tall, weight 190 pounds, we got Darian Kendrick. So for Darian's strengths, he already possesses an NFL frame, has a well-developed muscular culture and long arms. He has easy athleticism, which is obvious when you watch the tape. He dances off the line of scrimmage when he's locked up in man coverage. He shows impressive pitter-pat in his back pedal, as well as the greasy knees and his loose hips that change directions and accelerate in a flash. In terms of his weaknesses, though, he's a gambler that is so confident in his ability to cover anyone one-on-one that he takes unnecessary chances. He stays flat-footed in the hopes of sniffing out a quick pass that leaves himself vulnerable to deep shots over the top. His selfish mentality is also evident in other ways as he's put his blinders on too often. He focuses Simon at receivers and he loses track of the ball, even as it's being thrown or run right by him. And he has been listed as a player that could disappoint in the NFL because even though he's gifted, he was surrounded by an awful lot of talent at Georgia this year on that defense, especially one that won a championship. And he comes off with some off-field baggage, so that'll definitely be a bit of a red flag and could be a distraction to the locker room. In terms of his NFL comparison, he's been compared to Janoris Jenkins of the Tennessee Titans, so definitely a lot of upside for sure, but that off-field baggage is going to definitely need to have a closer look at, but maybe someone to consider for sure if that baggage isn't as bad as everyone's hyping it to be. So the next player we're going to go over here, hailing out of Washington, standing 5'11", weighing 195 pounds, we got Trent McDuffie. So for Trent, he's your prototype intangibles corner. So in terms of his strengths, he's a football-savvy defender. His awareness, agility, reliable open field tackling skills, it may make him more popular with NFL coaches than his average size made with scouts. So he might impress the coaches more than the scouts, so there's that. With quick mental processing of route combinations, it helps him excel in zone coverage. He carries his routes downfield, shows his hip fluidity and his greasy knees to change direction without losing speed. He possesses good, albeit perhaps not great, straight line speed to run deep. In terms of his weaknesses, though, he lacks the eye-popping traits scouts may expect of an early round corner, which is average height for the position. He may prove quicker than he is fast. He's more fluid and efficient than explosive as an athlete. He shifts gears smoothly, but he lacks the burst to recover if he's being initially. He has good body control and spatial awareness to break up passes, but he has just average arm length to reach around receivers at the catch point. In terms of his NFL comparison, he's been compared to Logan Ryan of the New York Giants, so the player with a lot of upside for sure. Definitely someone to keep an eye on for sure. A few things to clean up, but yeah, definitely someone to consider for sure and keep an eye on. So the next player we're going to go over here, hailing out of Alabama, standing 6'1", weighing 192 pounds. We got Jaylen Armour Davis. So for Jalen's strengths, he already offers an NFL-ready frame with nice mirroring ability. In man coverage, he's sticky, able to hang around his assignment pockets or turn with them upfield, and he follows them step for step. In zone, he drops well, exceptionally well in deep zone work and press ball situations. He's physical in coverage, his long arms to help him disrupt the catch point in his matchups. In terms of his weaknesses, though, his eyes are usually glued to the receiver, which is fine most of the time, but it could hurt you once it gets recognized. It was evident in the run game when he would follow his assignment and leave space for the running back to kick outside and find space. His medical as an experience, it could come into question as he wasn't a full-time starter until this last season, and he missed time in his first 2 seasons after he suffered an injury in 2018 and then he was more of a rotation guy and on special teams. But yeah. So yeah, that could be a bit of a question mark. So yeah, there still could be more to offer for him, and could he stay healthy though? In terms of his NFL comparison, he's been compared to Trayvon Mullen of the Las Vegas Raiders. So yeah, definitely someone with a lot of upside for sure, but he's got to learn to stay healthy and may need some time to get to his max potential. Maybe someone to take a gamble with for sure. So the next player we're going to go over here, hailing out of Mississippi State, standing 6'2", weighing 200 pounds, we got Martin Emerson. So for Martin's strengths, he seeks out contact, eagerly attacks blockers and runs support and delivers powerful knockdown, blows the ball carriers. He shows good knee bend, has a tight back pedal with the loose hips to turn, quickly accelerates receivers running vertically, has supreme confidence in off-man coverage, waits until receivers are nearly to him before committing to turn and run. He simply swallows receivers at the mesh point. In terms of his weaknesses, though, he's too handsy downfield for today's NFL rules, so that could be a problem, though, and could be drawn to more flags, so he could be a flag magnet. He simply latches on to receivers as much as 10 yards downfield, which is legal in college football, since college football is a lot different from NFL rules. As long as the ball is not already thrown into contact, is not to the head or neck area. Like most tall corners, he's vulnerable to double moves and needs a few steps to get back up to full speed out of his breaks. In terms of his NFL comparison, he's been compared to Joejuan Williams of the New England Patriots. So yeah, definitely a player with a lot of upside for sure. He's going to have to learn to clean a few things up and not draw flags, but if he can clean that up, definitely someone to consider for sure. So the next player we're going to go over here, hailing out of Penn State, standing 6 feet tall, weighing 194 pounds, we got Tariq Castro Fields. So for Tariq's strength, he's a good-looking athlete with solid overall muscular culture and long arms. He's battle-tested in multiple alignments and coverages. He shows the length and aggression to handle press coverage. His agility and speed for off-band coverage and the awareness and reliable open-field tackling skills for zone coverage. He accelerates in a blink, shows the straight line speed. It may translate into quality time in workouts. In terms of his weaknesses, though, it's not quite the sum of his parts. He gives up the inside too easily at press coverage. He opens his hip prematurely, can leave the gate open for receivers to attack. He can get caught peeking at the quarter QB, allows receivers to get behind him, and trusts his makeup speed to recover. In terms of his NFL comparison, he's been compared to Shaquille Griffin of the Jacksonville Jaguars. So yeah, definitely a lot of upside. He can handle nearly any coverage scheme you throw at him. Definitely someone to consider for sure. So the next player we're going to go over here, hailing out of Pitt, standing 5'11", weighing 195 pounds. We got Damari Mantis. So for Damari's strengths, he's a quick twitch cover corner with the light feet, greasy knees, loose hips, and shallow receivers all over the field. jumps out of his back pedal, shows immediate acceleration necessary to handle man duty, coverage duties. Doesn't rely too much on a punch to jam receivers off the snap, but he has it in his tool belt, and he shows quick, forceful hands can disrupt the timing with QBs. In terms of his weaknesses, though, he surrenders the inside too easily. He has requisite choppy feet for coverage, can lead with his wrong foot at times. He is forced to recover. He does possess good straight line speed, but does not appear to have a second gear or length to recover. He missed all of 2020 with a left shoulder injury. It could require through vetting from NFL teams, so that is a bit of a red flag when he missed the entire season with a shoulder injury. But, in 2021, he recovered very well and had a career year. So, yeah, may not affect him too much, but that might be something to consider. Could this become a reoccurring theme? Can he stay healthy? Time will tell. In terms of his NFL comparison, he's been compared to Steven Nelson of the Philadelphia Eagles, so definitely a lot of upside for sure. The health could be a question, but definitely someone to roll the dice with. So the next player we're going to go over here, hailing out of Clemson, standing 6 feet tall, weighing 190 pounds, we got Mario Goodrich. So for Mario's strengths, he's a well-built, looks more like a safety with his athletic V-shaped frame. He's complete with broad shoulders, long limbs, well-distributed musculature. He's not just built like a safety, but he tackles like one, though. 2. He aggressively takes on and sheds blockers on his way to the ball carrier, shows natural knockdown power as well as textbook wrap-up technique. He corrals receivers nicely at the line of scrimmage when he's in press coverage, uses his length and good lateral agility to slow their movement, and shows the smooth turning motion to accelerate downfield. Now, in terms of weaknesses, though, he has a bulky frame for a corner. It likely will limit him to only outside duties in the NFL. He resorts to side steps and a quick turn to get vertical with receivers. Leaves a lot of space for receivers to attack on shallow outs. As such, he's vulnerable to double moves. While he is a smooth accelerator, he does lack that second gear, and he struggles to recover if he's beaten initially. In terms of his NFL comparison, he's been compared to Rock Ya-Sin of the Las Vegas Raiders, so definitely a player with a lot of upside for sure. Couple things to clean up, but yeah, definitely someone to keep an eye on for sure. So the next player we're going to go over here, hailing out of Texas, San Antonio, UTSA for short. Standing 6'4", weighing 205 pounds, we got Tariq Woolen. So for Tariq's strengths, he looks the part with a broad-shouldered athletic frame. His weight is evenly distributed. He has electric athleticism. It's obvious in his movements. He absolutely explodes out of his back pedal, instantly climbing to carry receivers downfield. He throttles down smoothly to make sharp cuts. He sticks in the hip pocket of his opponents. He's more aggressive and runs important as a tackler overall than his receiver background would suggest. And he is listed as one of those small school studs, so he killed it in the small schools. Because in a year full of exciting prospect, very few prospects in this class come with Tariq's raw tools, including exceptional size, speed, length combination. In terms of weaknesses, though, he's so fucking raw. He so relies on physical gifts too often. Sometimes, something that may not work as easily in the NFL as it did in the Conference USA in the college. He was beat for 2 touchdowns just in the first quarter against West Kentucky in 2021. If you want to watch some tape on there, just study there. He shows undisciplined eyes and a lack of awareness. In terms of his NFL comparison, he's been compared to a Fatu Melifonwu of the Detroit Lions. So definitely has a lot of great tools and a lot of great things you would like in a prospect. Couple things to clean up, but yeah, this is definitely someone to consider and keep an eye on. So the next player we're going to go over here, hailing out of Nebraska, standing 6 feet tall, weighing 190 pounds, we got Cam Taylor Britt. So for Cam's strengths, he looks bigger on the field than he may be listed. Filling out his uniform with broad shoulders, stick well-developed musculature, speaks the time spent in the weight room, may even suggest that a move back to safety could be coming in the NFL. He plays as physically as he looks, seems to enjoy opportunities to take the blockers on his way to the ball. He's a strong tackler with a track record of separating the ball from the ball carrier. In terms of his weaknesses, though, he's built and runs more like an NFL safety, or resorts to a side shuffle much of the time. He's high and tight with his back pedal when he uses it, but sticks a bit in his transition before locking fully and accelerating smoothly. He lacks the straight line speed to run with the speediest of receivers, and he may not have the quick change of direction for nickel duties. In terms of his NFL comparison, he's been compared to Desmond Kane of the Houston Texans, so a lot of upside for sure, a lot of things to like for sure. Can also go after the ball carrier, someone to keep an eye on for sure. So the next player we're going to go over here, hailing out of Washington State, standing 6'2", weighing 200 pounds. We got Jaylen Watson. So for Jalen's strengths, he's a well-built corner with rare size for the position, as well as good overall muscle culture and long arms. He's surprisingly light on his feet, allows his change of direction quickly, accelerates smoothly, and squeezes receivers toward the sideline with good forward lean and a sneaky physicality. He also has been listed as one of the top sleeper picks in this draft because, he's the best corner prospect out to come out of Washington State since Marcus Trufant. He has the length and physicality that a lot of scouts crave for, and he did help his cause by having a strong showing at the Senior Bowl. So yeah, the Lions did get a good eye on him for sure, the Senior Bowl too, since the Lions are part of the coach's staff for that. So the Lions definitely will have him on the board for sure for consideration. In terms of his weaknesses, though, he may lack the straight line speed to run with the NFL's speediest receivers. He resorts to a sidestep rather than a traditional back pedal, something that a lot of coaches in the NFL are going to ask him to change, so he's going to have to change his habits. He does lose a step in transition. While he is quicker for a defensive back of his size, he does give up space to shiftier receivers on in-breaking routes. So he's got a few things to improve on there, but hey, always room for improvement. In terms of his NFL comparison, he's been compared to Dante Johnson of the San Francisco 49ers, so has a lot of upside for sure. A couple things to clean up, but yeah, the Lions will definitely have him on the board for consideration for sure. So the next player we're going to go over here, hailing out of Oregon, standing 5'11", weighing 180 pounds, we got Mikhail Wright. So for Mikhail's strengths, he has nice footwork and fluidity to work well with his assignment downfield. Has impressive closing speed, can keep plays contained. He is light, but he's a willing tackler, showcasing plenty of effort. His experience and skill set, it should allow him to move as needed between inside and out at the next level. His best projects in the slot role as a slot corner. He played primarily outside for the Oregon Ducks and handled it with great ease. Has great return skills to contribute on special teams, so he does offer some versatility there too. In terms of his weaknesses, though, his current frame will have plenty of teams that want him in the slot. His current frame and arm length, it makes his chances of staying on the outside a very tough task. His lack of size, it can be seen in his physicality, where he struggles in contested situations, and he does show a lot of issues as a tackler. Overall punch doesn't do a lot of damage, which makes his press coverage ability a question mark on the outside, and a question there too. There are moments of concerns when it comes to giving up too much underneath. In terms of his NFL comparison, he's been compared to Tavon Young of the Baltimore Ravens, so has a lot of upside for sure. A couple of things he's going to have to clean up and probably going to have to bulk up a little bit, but someone definitely maybe to keep an eye on for sure. And the final defensive back we're going to go over in this video before we move on to the safeties, we have hailing out of Alabama, standing 6'1", weighing 194 pounds. We got Jobe. So for Josh's strengths, he's a highly physical and competitive defender, can smother receivers at the catch point, shows good awareness of the football and timing the close, does a nice job of staying in phase and turns his head to locate on deep shots and in end zone. And he isn't the most fleet of foot, but he runs well with receivers, uses long galloping strides while he squeezes receivers to the sideline to handle deep responsibilities. He plays faster than he may run in his workouts. In terms of his weaknesses, though, he's just an average NFL by NFL corner standards. Bit stiff in his hips, heavy-footed to change direction. He loses a step in his transition, gives up free real estate that savvy QBs and receivers can take full advantage of. In terms of his NFL comparison, he's been compared to Trey Flowers of the Cincinnati Bengals, so a lot of upside for sure. A couple of things he's going to have to clean up, but someone maybe to keep an eye on for sure. So now moving on to the safeties. The first one we're going to go over here, hailing out of Baylor, standing 6 feet tall, weighing 197 pounds. We got Jaylen Petra. So for Jaylen, he's your prototype top playmaker safety, so he's very good at making big plays. In terms of his strength, he's a quick defender, Jedi-like instincts, can be unblockable at the line of scrimmage. He slips by blockers like his jersey is greased with Crisco. He has terrific snap anticipation, explodes out of his stance. He terrorizes at the line of scrimmage, has impressive body control, including lateral agility, balance, fluid acceleration to turn the corner and pursue from the backside. Has a classic lasso tackler, can cleanly wrap the legs of ball carriers for immediate stops. He's built and moves more like a nickel corner than a former linebacker. He drops into coverage, shows the same awareness of the ball in space that he does at the line of scrimmage. He generates depth quickly with light, choppy steps, easily changes direction, accelerates smoothly in man-to-man coverage. So he's very good in that coverage scheme. In terms of his weaknesses, though, he's listed as a safety, but it's not a traditional fit. Made most of his plays at or near the line of scrimmage. It wasn't asked to play the deep middle often. He rarely turns his back to the QB. He's aggressive to attack blockers, but most effective when he's able to slip by them. But his lack of size and arm length and making him bullied at the line of scrimmage too often. He struggles to release once or if blockers latch on. He is undersized and has a history of injuries already. He missed all but 4 games in 2019 with a shoulder injury. It will require a closer look by NFL medical personnel. He also missed his junior season of high school with a torn ACL. So yeah, definitely a number of injuries that are going to raise some red flags. So he's had a history of being injury prone. In terms of his NFL comparison, he's been compared to Tyrann Mathieu, the kid who's a free agent right now, expecting to sign with the New Orleans Saints. Actually, he hasn't really signed with a team yet. So yeah, the Honey Badger. So yeah, he has a lot of upside for sure, but he has quite an injury history. So for him to be effective, he's going to have to learn to stay healthy. If he can stay healthy, he definitely is someone to consider for sure. So the next player we're going to go over here, hailing out of Georgia, standing 6'1", weighing 200 pounds, we got Lewis Sign. So for Lewis, he's your prototype run support safety, so he's very good at supporting in the run game. In terms of strengths, he's a great downfield safety. He can take wonderful angles to blow up ball carriers. Adds a huge layer of protection to the front 7. He keeps plays from breaking big. He's very consistent wrap-up tackler. Seems to pace himself very well heading into traffic. He also offers versatility to play both the free safety and the strong safety position, so he can line up anywhere in the safety positions on the secondary. He may protect better as a strong safety at the NFL level. He was asked to operate, though, at free safety for most of his time at Georgia. He did well in single high when he needed to. In terms of his weaknesses, though, he has a safe profile and well-rounded skill set that could make looking for weakness a tough task outside of work needed in the passing game. Specifically, his angles, positioning, and coverage and making plays at the catch point. They are a work in progress, so there's always room for improvement there. And in terms of mirroring his assignment with slot work, he could have issues sifting through traffic and coverage. It could hurt his ability to move around the field. In terms of his NFL comparison, he's been compared to Xavier McKinney at the New York Giants, so definitely has a lot of upside for sure. Not that many weaknesses, just a few things he's got to clean up and improve on, but still, someone definitely to keep an eye on for sure. So the next player we're going to go over here, hailing out of Oregon, standing 5'11", weighing 195 pounds, we got ferro Mckinley III. In terms of strengths, he led all FBS players in interceptions in 2021 with 6. And while his interceptions don't always tell the full story for a defensive back, they absolutely do with him in this case. He showcases his wonderful reads and football IQ to get to the football to strut passes. He's versatile enough to move around for defenses as well. He consistently went to work in the slot and held up in both man and zone coverages, so he can line up nearly anywhere in the secondary. In terms of tackling form, he's generally consistent and safe. In terms of his weaknesses, though, his instincts are top tier. He doesn't have the pure athleticism to survive in the league, playing primarily single high safety. It was notable in Oregon's game against Ohio State, where he couldn't cover enough ground to keep any combination of Buckeye receivers in check when they worked deep. In case you want to watch some film on him, just watch their game against Ohio State this year. He could also improve his play strength. His small frame, it gets overpowered at times, is an issue that could become more evident against NFL-sized weapons. In terms of his NFL comparison, he's been compared to Rodney McLeod of the Philadelphia Eagles. So yeah, a lot of upside for sure. A couple things he's going to have to clean up, but someone to keep an eye on for sure. So the next player we're going to go over here, hailing out of Middle Tennessee State, standing 6'1", weighing 204 pounds, we got Reed Blankenship. So for Reed's strengths, he's a legitimate NFL caliber athlete, can transition to safety at Middle Tennessee after he previously starred at corner and on basketball court at the prep level. He reportedly clocked in the low 4.5s in the 40-yard dash and had a 38-inch vertical jump and a 10-foot broad jump in his workouts. He complements his athleticism with excellent key and diagnosis skills. He gets an early jump on the ball due to his route recognition and reads the QB's eyes. His experience at corner shows with a tight, quick back pedal and smooth tip turn, so he offers flexibility there. Versatility there. And can line up nearly anywhere in the secondary. Allows him to change directions, accelerate efficiently. Has legitimate sideline-to-sideline range to handle single high safety duties. Has terrific ball skills. He's soft but has strong hands. Has excellent hand-eye coordination and good body control to make difficult plays on the ball. His good hands were evident in punt return roles. Last year, he had 11 punt returns over the last 3 years, and his punt returns, he averaged around 9.6 yards on those 11 returns. He also has been listed as one of those small school studs, so yeah, he killed it in the small school district because a lot of critics will knock his level of competition at pedestrian size, but they will not criticize his production, as in his college career, he had 419 tackles, 16 turnovers, and had 3 defensive touchdowns. In terms of his weaknesses, though, he's athletic, but his unimposing frame with average musculature definition. He makes tackles, but he isn't a true thumper. He takes risky angles to the football, and he trusts his ability to trip up ball carriers, leaves himself and his teammates in a difficult position if his lasso attempt is unsuccessful. And it does raise concerns about how reliable he'll be against the elite athletes in the NFL. He did suffer a broken leg midway through 2019 that will require a closer look by NFL medical personnel. And he also underwent extensive rehabilitation in 2020 on that said leg. And he was not as effective once he came back. So that could be a bit of a red flag. So yeah, can he still get back to where he was before that injury? Can he get back to that level? In terms of his NFL comparison, he's been compared to Eddie Jackson of the Chicago Bears, so definitely has a lot of upside for sure. Was very productive in college, but that leg injury, can he get that explosiveness back from what that he had a couple years ago? Definitely will be a gamble taking him for sure. So the next player we're going to go over here, hailing out of Auburn, standing 6'3", weighing 199 pounds. We got Quintinarius Monday, or better known as Smoke Monday. So for Smoke/Quintinarius' strengths, whatever the hell you want to call him, it's up to you. But in terms of strengths, though, even though having the coolest name in this draft class, it won't help him too much as a prospect, but there's plenty more to love when it comes to his game. Offers impressive processing and allows him to be quick to react and the patience not to be fooled in both the run and pass game. Had tremendous length with a lanky frame. He covers a lot of ground and uses his length well to help him out as a tackler. His best trait, though, is his versatility, as many teams will have varying opinions on whether he should play in a free safety or a strong safety role, and he has experience working single high at free safety or crouching downhill to make a tackle in the box as a strong safety. So yeah, he can play nearly any safety position in the secondary. He also has experience on special teams too, so he could go on punt returns and all that. In terms of his weaknesses, though, with his length, though, he must add weight to his frame as he plays way too thin at the moment. His man coverage can be a bit of an issue. He lacks the fluidity needed to keep up with speed. Assuming he packs on some weight, that fluidity could be hindered even further, which leads questions on what to do with his frame for development purposes. In terms of his NFL comparison, he's been compared to Justin Simmons of the Denver Broncos, so has a lot of upside for sure. Gonna have to add some weight though, but he does have to have a badass name, so there's that too. So yeah, definitely I would have him on the board too. So the next player we're going to go over here, hailing out of UCLA, standing 6'1", weighing 205 pounds, we got Quintin Lake. So for Quintin's strengths, he looks and carries himself like an NFL player with broad shoulder, tapered physique, and long arms. He's tasked with making late adjustments in the secondary. He shifts his teammates based on his offensive formations, has a light, tight back pedal for safety, good quickness to quick and close. He generates real bursts downhill to surprise opponents with his closing speed. Has good timing for blitzes, though he didn't record any sacks, and he had just 4 tackles for a loss over his career at UCLA. He has quick hands to slap away blocks from receivers and looks to get involved in run support. He's a physical defender, isn't afraid to lower his shoulder. He's a quality open field tackler, has good awareness, soft hands, and body control. He was part of the East-West Shrine Bowl, and he turned a lot of heads and had a very good week of practice. And I know the Lions were very invested in that East-West Shrine game, especially with Lions GM Brad Holmes, who was in attendance for that game. So yeah, they definitely got a good look at him. And Quintin Lake is the son of Carnell Lake, who was a member of the NFL's 1990s All-Decade team with the Pittsburgh Steelers. So yeah, he is the NFL royalty. So yeah, definitely he'll be on the board 100%. In terms of his weaknesses, though, he's a smooth athlete, but he may lack the suddenness and straight line speed that a lot of teams in the NFL may prefer. He takes the bait and focuses on his primary responsibility and loses sight of the ball. He has a good agility to elude blockers that can effectively slap them away, but has limited pop latching on. And he struggles to wrench himself away when they grab hold. Similarly, too often, he'll give up the yards ground as a tackler. He gets dragged for an extra yard or two before he wrestles ball carriers to the turf. A reflection of the fact that he's a little lighter than preferred. He did have a wrist injury, which will require a closer look, and he missed 1 game last year due to an undisclosed injury. So yeah, there are a couple of red flags there in terms of injuries, though. In terms of his NFL comparison, he's been compared to Jordan Poyer of the Buffalo Bills. So, has a lot of upside for sure. Had a strong showing at the East-West Shrine game. NFL royalty. Couple things to clean up. The injury concerns. Can he stay healthy, or is it going to become a reoccurring theme? But yeah, someone maybe to roll the dice with for sure. But he'll 100% be on the Lions draft board for sure, for consideration. And the final safety, the final set player in the secondary, the final player we're going to go over in this video, hailing out of Georgia Tech, standing 6'3", weighing 217 pounds, we got Wanya Thomas. So for Wanya, in terms of his strengths, he's a supersized safety. His bulk with broad shoulders, long arms, wide hips, etc., etc., suggests he could pack on even more weight to his power pack build if it's necessary. Has a thick lower half. Gives him the ballast to battle blockers and the force to generate big hits. Despite his bulk, though, he moves well, shows light feet, balances steady acceleration. His loose hips allows him to spin and change direction well for a big man. He was tasked with playing a variety of duties for Georgia Tech, including as the last man in deep coverage responsibilities, drops down to handle the slot linebacker in short yardage, and as both a kick and punt returner early in his career. And he has no known injury concerns. So, yeah, a lot of check marks staring out. There's a lot of versatility as a special teamer. Can go as linebacker if necessary. So, offers a lot of versatility. Could be like a Swiss Army knife. He's highly competitive. He wears his heart on his sleeve on the field. He was an honor roll student and a team captain and aspires to be a motivational speaker. So, he is a leader of men, and that's somebody that Dan Campbell will definitely like to have in the locker room for sure. Could definitely become a locker room leader. In terms of his weaknesses, though, he wears blinders in coverage. He loses track of the ball, focuses on his primary assignment, and fails to react quickly enough as the last man in coverage. He isn't consistently the big hitter his intimidating size may suggest, but he does need a bit of a runway to generate his explosive hits. He plays on his heels at times due to his average awareness and being forced to latch on and drag down ball carriers, rather than line them up and knock them right down on their ass. He's like a lot of taller and bulkier defenders, but his long legs will make his transition from one direction to the other a step slower, and it will leave him vulnerable to quick cuts and double moves. In terms of his NFL comparison, he's been compared to Jaylen Curse to the Dallas Cowboys, so he offers a lot of versatility. Like I said, a Swiss Army knife, has a lot of upside for sure, and then is a leader of men. He's the type of player that Dan Campbell will definitely want to have in the locker room, so he'll 100% be in consideration on the board. But yeah, anyway, that'll wrap it up here for this pretty long NFL draft preview. Yeah, this was a bit of a long preview, but that just shows you how deep this defensive back and safety class truly is, especially in rounds 2 and 3 of the draft. So yeah, pretty long preview, but we got everybody down, and that actually wraps up round day 2 of the draft. There's definitely a lot of names to consider, a lot of talent that's in this pretty deep class to consider for sure. In rounds 2 and 3 of the draft, since some safety still in need, and the Lions, they could use another corner or two, so yeah, that doesn't hurt to have another one. So yeah, definitely some interesting players to keep an eye on for sure. So yeah, the next time on the draft previews, we will head to start to day 3 of the NFL draft and look at the best prospects at rounds 4 through 7. And if anyone's wondering, we'll be going over every single position in day 3. So like QB, running back, receiver, tight end, O-line, D-line, linebacker, and then defensive backs and safeties. We're not going to look at kickers or punters since we don't need any of those positions. But yeah, anyway, that'll wrap it up here. That's all I got to say. Hope everyone's a great day, and I'll see you all whatever I make next. Peace.